We continue to get emails from people all over the world wanting to get in on our 2022 challenge, even though I said initially that the window of that challenge and registering for it would be at February 1st. That's when it would all come to an end. And here we are coming close to the end of the challenge, and the emails still come in, pleading with me to allow them to participate in this challenge so they can get their A1C down into the 5s within 6 months. Okay, I surrender. When I announced our 2022 challenge in January of this year, I made it clear that once February the 1st came around, registration would be strictly closed. But I continued getting requests from people to allow them to participate in this challenge, and I asked myself, am I going to deprive someone from the opportunity to escape the clutches of diabetes simply because they're a week or 2 weeks late in registering? And I just didn't have the heart to do that. I figured that within a few weeks the requests would trickle down to nothing, but was I wrong? In fact, those requests never did trickle down, and they keep coming in even until now, 4 months into this 6-month challenge. And since these requests seem to be a never-ending story, I finally decided to create a 6-month challenge that can be personalized to fit anyone's schedule. You can start it as of today, tomorrow, next month, or this New Year's Eve. So what does this challenge involve? Well, it is essentially a phase 1 period for people desperately needing to lower their glucose levels. It means getting radical with yourself and your diet, and it is especially important and significant for newly diagnosed diabetics, and also people who've been diabetics a long time but have had no success at all in getting their A1Cs down into a reasonable range. You've tried this, you've tried that, and nothing has worked. You're desperate, and you're willing to get serious about tackling the monster that has been riding your back for years. People have asked me so often, what should I eat? What should I avoid? How do I eat? And finally, I just broke down and created a menu plan which gives specific meals to eat. And I sent out this menu each month for the months of February through May to the people on our challenge. It includes links that will take them to videos, some my videos, some from others and various doctors and nutritionists and cooks, many who are far better cooks than I am. In fact, almost all of them are far better cooks than me. And they'll show you step by step just how to make low-carb meals. Now, the menu plan is written for people who eat like I do, people who eat meat as well as vegetables. Now, if you're a vegetarian, you may be able to get some good ideas from the menus and the links, but you'll have to get a little creative and come up with some food plans that will accommodate your vegetarian lifestyle. It can be done for sure, but it would have been too overwhelming for me to create 2 separate menu plans, so I created my menu plan with meat included. In addition to the menu plans, I created special videos, especially for our 2022 challenge participants that are not seen on Beat Diabetes. I sent out emails every few days with links to some of my special videos and links to other videos by doctors and nutritionists which emphasize low-carb intervention for diabetes. People signed up for the challenge through email, and so I put together a special email list which enables me to communicate with our challenge participants instantly and directly, and it allows them to communicate with me as well. This challenge, as simple as it is, has worked beautifully, and I've received email after email and comment after comment from people who already have their A1C in the 5s. And that doesn't surprise me, but it greatly blesses me. The truth is, I guess that most diabetics would not need 6 months. I figured well over half the people, if they adhered strictly to the challenge guidelines, would be able to see an A1C somewhere in the 5s within about 4 months. But I made it a 6-month challenge for the sake of those who have to take a little bit longer for various reasons. I announced to our challenge participants that starting in June, I would no longer provide a menu or links to various low-carb meals. I figured the first 4 months of meals and recipes and links should be sufficient to give everyone a good idea of how to eat, and they could either go back to one of my previous 4 months' menus and recipes, or they could just forage for themselves and find things to eat for June and July that would work. By now, everybody that's been participating has a good idea of what do you eat to beat diabetes. Let me say that again. What do you eat to beat diabetes? And that's one thing this challenge will make clear. All anyone would have to do if they wanted to would be to type the words keto meals in the YouTube search box, and you can find far more meals and recipes than you'd need for years and years. 4 of my favorite sources for low-carb meals on YouTube are Keto Connect, Keto Focus, Wholesome Yum, and Low Carb Love. Also, Joe Duff is pretty good for finding keto desserts, but lately he's also uploading non-keto recipes, so you're going to have to be careful that you see the word keto in his title. So, what is at the heart of this diet challenge? I sent out a letter to my challenge participants recently detailing the various points and pillars of this plan, and I decided to go ahead and make that email or that note public and share it with everyone on Beat Diabetes on YouTube. So here it is. Here are the 8 pillars that make up the essence of this challenge. Number 1, numero uno, eat every day within a 6-hour window. One way to do this, which is the way I do it, is to skip breakfast except for having a cup of bulletproof coffee or tea. For me, it's coffee. So that is in substitute for my official breakfast. I don't eat a real breakfast normally. So you eat your first real meal at lunch, which should be between noon and 1 p.m. After this meal, you don't have any snacks until dinner, which is going to be somewhere between 6 and 7 p.m. So basically, 6 hours out of the day, you're going to have 2 meals with no snacks in between. And after that second meal, around 6 to 7 p.m., you will eat nothing more for the night. Your next taste of food, if you want to call it food, will be your bulletproof coffee in the morning. And your next real meal, where you actually have to chew, will be your lunch between 12 and 1 the next day. Alternatively, you could eat a real breakfast and a real lunch and have your bulletproof coffee in the evening as your evening meal. I've been doing this so long that for me, 2 meals a day is no big deal. I'm used to it. But if you're used to eating 3 meals a day and maybe a couple of snacks in between, the idea of a 2 meals a day with no snacks in between, you may think to be a great sacrifice. But hang in there. You're going to get used to it if you stay with it long enough. So, basically, 2 meals a day. If that seems pretty severe to you, remember that diabetes is pretty severe. Kidney failure, amputations, the loss of eyesight, all the negative consequences of diabetes are very severe. And it's a lot better to be severe in your diet and lifestyle than to have the severe effects of diabetes and runaway blood sugar. Pillar number 2, do not eat any high-carb or even medium-carb foods while you're on this challenge. For these 6 months, give up all breads, pasta, breakfast cereal, potatoes, and rice. Do not be deceived into eating so-called healthy whole-grain foods. Just avoid them altogether. You can eat chaffles in place of bread, cauliflower rice instead of real rice, avocados in place of potatoes. Now, there are some low-carb breads you can buy in stores and try, but you need to test these with your glucose meter. Sometimes these breads labeled low-carb can fool you. So for 6 months, you're going to give up on things like breakfast cereal, all regular pasta, all potatoes, all rice, all beans, all fruits, except for berries, all sugary desserts, of course. Now, I know that may sound terrible, but it's really not that bad. Again, considering the alternative, if you do not rein in your blood sugar, you really don't have a lot to lose to eat this way for the next 6 months. You can do it. Pillar number 3, focus on meats and salads and other low-carb vegetables. High-fat dairy products such as heavy cream and cheese can help fill you up. Also eat eggs in abundance without any guilt. Check out the 4 months of menus that I will share with you, and you should get some good ideas for foods and meals. And remember, the simplest kind of meal that beats diabetes is simply to have a large meat portion and a large salad. Chicken and a salad, or beef and a salad, or fish and a salad. Avoid any bread coating on the meat, however. Unless you're vegan or vegetarian, a part of my plan is that Mondays will be carnivore days. You can eat meat, you can eat cheese, dairy, eggs, basically low-carb foods that come from animals. This is essentially a carb fast. Now, I know you're not really fasting, but you're taking one day out of the week on Mondays where you're going to fast from eating carbs. If you're a vegan or a vegetarian, well, you're not going to be able to do that, of course, but you should eat as low carb as you can on Mondays. Salads are a good choice. Cheese can be filling if, as a vegetarian, you allow yourself to eat cheese. The fifth pillar, remember this. The rule is that for these 6 months, your goal is to get your A1C and glucose levels down. For these 6 months, this goal, driving down that A1C, driving down those blood sugar levels, that goal takes priority over nutrition. What shall it profit a man if he gets a lot of vitamin C every day, but his blood sugar is running in the 200s, 300s, or 400s? After you get your glucose levels closer to normal, in the 5s, you can start experimenting with eating some iffy foods like a small bowl of bean soup, a clementine, half of a small apple. But for right now, keep your eyes on the prize and stay with the truly low-carb foods and meals. Number 6, if the menu items that are listed do not fill you up, you can always add any low-carb, very low-carb items that you can find and fill yourself up with them. That could include boiled eggs. Can't hardly get any lower carb than that. A block of cheese, some thick cheese, chaffles, hamburger patties, sausage, etc. Or you can simply make more of the items that are listed. In other words, if you're going to eat 2 eggs and 3 slices of bacon for a meal and that doesn't fill you up, then have a couple more eggs and 3 more slices of bacon. If you're eating a hamburger patty and a salad and that doesn't fill you up, then make 2 hamburger patties and a much larger salad. Or you can always have a large mug of bulletproof coffee after your meal, which is quite filling in itself. If caffeine is a problem for you, especially if it's toward the evening, you can always use decaffeinated coffee. One of the positive features of this challenge is that you are not required, let me say it again, you are not required to leave the table hungry. Although you should be self-controlled in your eating, you do not need to deprive yourself of the feeling of fullness after meals. If you feel you must, then eat larger salads, eat larger meat portions, eat several eggs, thick slices of cheese, and so forth. You may not be able to eat all you used to eat in terms of just the quantity of foods, but you can definitely eat until you're full, and that's not too bad. Number 7, eat dinner relatively early, a vital part of the plan. Try to begin your dinner around 6:30. 6 is better still. Some people eat as early as 5. Be finished by around 7 or a little after. Give your body a good several hours to process your evening meal before you go to bed. And no bedtime snacks. Let me say it again, no bedtime snacks. Whoever thought of the idea of a bedtime snack ought to be severely punished. When you have your final meal at 6:30 p.m. or so, then you close up shop. You put up a sign in your window, close for the day. Allow no food to pass across your lips until you have your morning breakfast of bulletproof coffee, if you want to call that food. And your first real meal, the kind you chew, should come around 12:30 to 1 p.m. And finally, number 8. Yes, you can have dessert, but it A, has to be a keto dessert, and B, should not be every day and every meal. You're allowed to have keto desserts on Fridays and Saturdays. And in the menus that I've provided, they include many keto desserts for these 2 evenings. If these are not enough, you can just go to YouTube and type keto dessert in the search box, and you will find enough desserts to last you for a lifetime. After eating these desserts, test your glucose, however, with your blood sugar meter and make sure they do not spike too much. And once you have seen this to be the case and you've found something you enjoy and it doesn't spike your blood sugar much, Well, guess what? You've gained an old friend you can go back to again and again. But don't get in the habit of having a keto dessert every night. 2 nights per week is what you're allowed on the challenge, and then after your 6 months, you may want to extend it to an extra night or 2. But right now, keep in mind, you are in basic training, my friend. You need to adhere to the rules and the discipline of this challenge. For many of you, one of the reasons that got you into this mess in the first place is a lack of discipline, an undisciplined lifestyle, and undisciplined diet. And it's time for that to change. If you're taking diabetic meds or insulin, and you switch from eating a standard diet to this fairly severe form of a low-carb/keto diet, you will almost certainly need to lower your meds or insulin, and that means you need to talk to your doctor about all of this and tell him what you plan to do. Stay in contact with 2 people. Number 1, stay in contact with your doctor first and foremost as you enter this new diet. And number 2, stay in touch with Mike the meter, your glucose meter. And if your glucose falls too low, below 75 or so, you should eat something that will raise it back up. Now, I'm not talking about candy or soda, but perhaps a slice of whole wheat bread or a couple of whole grain crackers. Hypos, your blood sugar dropping way too low, those are very dangerous and they're nothing to mess around with. So, especially when you first shift into this diet, there is that danger and that possibility. Again, especially if you're taking meds or insulin. So those are the 8 pillars to the diabetes-beating, glucose-lowering, A1C dropping 6-month challenge. Now, if you've just joined the challenge, or maybe this is the first time you've even heard of it, let me tell you how this is going to work for all the newbies who are too late for the original challenge. I've set up a place on my website just for you. A link to this web page is in the description. It will give you everything you need to get started. There'll be links to the original menus. There'll be these 8 pillars I've just described written out for you to copy, paste, and print. There'll be a link where you can go to see some of the videos I've created especially for our challenge participants. And this video itself, there'll be a link or this video on the page that you can watch again, along with other links to articles, videos, and encouraging words from me. So, everything you need to do this diabetic challenge, this 6-month challenge, from this very point, or next week, or next month, whenever you start, and again, as soon as you can, you should start. It's all going to be there if you will go to the link that is in the description below. You may have to click Show More. Some people don't know enough about YouTube to realize that there's a lot in the description that you'll never see until you click the words Show More, and then it'll all unfold for you. So join the 6-month challenge to go from diabetic to non-diabetic in 6 months. I'm no longer calling it the 2022 challenge because you may be watching this video in 2023 or 2025 and it can still work for you. In fact, my hope is that long after I've departed from this world, there'll be diabetics discovering some of these videos and discovering this challenge, applying the principles, and being set free from diabetes. Now, I'm going to need your email. In order to get the most out of this challenge, you need to hear from me and receive the emails I'll be sending out probably every week, probably a couple of times a week, if not more. So go to the description and click on my website. In the home page, you'll see a clickable box which says 6 months challenge to beat diabetes. Click on that link. You'll find everything you need to get started crushing diabetes. God bless you, and see you again soon.